Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from anywhere you might be joining us from. Please kindly confirm that you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can. Okay, yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So thank you so much. So my name is Oladapo Babalola, and I'm one of the co-founders of DevOps as a Service Nigeria, a mentorship platform in Nigeria to raise and trace the next generation DevOps practitioners, that will go out there to innovate and disrupt their IT spaces. Now, the unique thing about daas.ng, of course, you should know by now that when I'm talking about daas.ng, I'm talking about DevOps as a Service.ng. Now, the unique thing about daas.ng is that we are not just teaching what DevOps is, right? But we are teaching you how it works from the foundational level to a certain level of understanding. And then another attribute about this platform for those, of course, that are just joining us for the very first time, is that it is free. And then you are going to be on the same platform with our faculty speakers who are also our mentors. You can ask questions at any time on our Discord channel, and then they'll be able to answer you. And then the focus or the goal is that at the end of the day, you'll be grounded with the full understanding of DevOps, the practices, the culture, and most importantly, the skills needed to transform your workplace so that 1 year from now, 6 months from now, right, you can reflect and be thankful that you have risen up the DevOps ladder, right? So that being said, we'll be starting with the foundation, fundamentals, and then we'll now move gradually to more topics in the coming weeks. So once again, I welcome you all, and I am grateful to my co-founders, Sheung and Nuruddin, as well as our faculty leaders who will be joining us, in our subsequent classes, and also for all our mentees and everyone, for joining in. Please kindly mute your mics, please. Okay, all right. So moving on, we'll be talking about the DAS story, how we got here, like how did we even arrive at this particular point. So let me begin with a personal story, right? A few years back, I found myself, working as a systems administrator for a company in Lagos, Nigeria, right? And I was going through a phase in my career where I was seeking two things. I was seeking meaning and relevance in the IT industry. Now, this was a time where, cloud had not gained much traction. Nobody was talking about Azure. Nobody was talking about AWS. And I was very, very passionate about IT systems and developments. Yet, I actually felt like something was missing. I remember those nights, those cold nights, on the hard floors of our data center, where I would spend nights, within the data center, poring over books, reading online resources. I actually wanted relevance. It was during one of those study nights, late in 2007, right, that I actually stumbled about something that would change the course of my career forever, DevOps. At that time, I began talking about concepts like, Docker containers, things around GitOps, Git Action, Git. But it felt like I was speaking a different language because DevOps was still very new. And within my professional circles, it felt like I was just speaking jargons because no one could quite understand. Remember, this was a period where nobody else in Nigeria, at least that I know of, was actually using the cloud, so to say, for their workload. Now, fast forward to 2019, I had the opportunity to join one of the largest banks in Africa. And it was there I crossed paths with the two incredible individuals, right? Nuruddin and Sheung. And what really happened was that we immediately found ourselves speaking the same language, DevOps. So we delved into different discussions about DevOps principles, practices. We started talking about cutting edge tools, and most importantly, we discovered a shared passion for this transformative approach to IT called DevOps. Now, because we're driven by the collective love for DevOps and a desire to make a difference in Nigeria and Africa, we embarked on a journey of learning and what I would call knowledge sharing. And that was what gave birth to daas.ng, DevOps as a Service Nigeria. So this is more like a community, right? It is more than a community. It is a family. And I'm sure that, when the time comes, right, Nuruddin will share some of the success stories, when he's actually making his presentation. So once again, I am happy and delighted to welcome you all to this very, very important, platform, DevOps as a Service, because this is the first of its kind in Nigeria where we'll have, a community as well as people with wealth of experience, teaching others, preaching the word of DevOps to unknown people, strangers in Nigeria, all for free. We're not collecting a dime. And that's why I'm saying this is the first of its kind, because most of the boot camps you see, they will ask you that you should pay this, they will ask you that you should pay that. And at the end of the day, you might not even get anything. But because of that shared responsibility that we have, because of that passion that we have, for Nigerians, we're just trying to change that mindset that we still have good people in Nigeria. People who can, pass knowledge because of the kind of passion they have. And that was what gave birth to daas.ng. So if anybody is asking you for money, within this particular platform, just know that you are just about to be duped. So please be very, very careful when people reach out to you to pay certain amount of money, because DevOps as a service would never ask you to pay a dime, right? So that being said, one last thing, before I go into the DevOps presentation is that if you think that you're going to become a DevOps practitioner in 3 months or 1 year, then of course it's possible, but you need to start working now. And not just working, you need to start working hard, because the market is evolving, everything is changing every day. Now you start hearing things about SRE, platform engineering, and then you will now come to think that is DevOps facing off, right? And that is what this platform is all about, to assist you in that journey. We are not teaching anything complicated. We're not teaching any complex concepts. We are breaking it from the ground up. So this bootcamp is just all about the basics. So if you feel we're going to be teaching you something very complex, right, then you are wrong, because we want you to be able to leverage on everything that we're going to be taught. Take it very seriously, because of course, if you are not serious within the bootcamp, we have several means of measurements. We're just going to evict you, and if at the end of the day we're able to finish with only 5 people, then we are, fulfilled as the founders of DevOps as a Service Nigeria. So please, once again, we are starting hard and we are finishing hard, right? I'll repeat myself. We're starting hard and we're finishing hard, because our co-founders, our faculty leaders are busy people, and we've been pursuing them since January. We are in August. So if you feel you would come and maybe just get a certificate and move on, we'll fish you out and just probably evict you. So please, I am soliciting and I'm begging. We need to be very, very serious during the bootcamp, right? So that being said, let's go to what is DevOps. What is DevOps, right? And I'm going to be guided by this outline. Now, DevOps is a combination of 2 words. We all know that: development and operations. It's as simple as that. Just a combination of 2 words: development and operations. That is how the word DevOps was actually coined, right? But you should also see DevOps as what I call a PPP concept. And that's talking about people, process, and products. if DevOps is not doing these three things, then you are not really doing DevOps. So what then is DevOps? Simple. DevOps is just the union of people, process, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to your end users. It's as simple as that. Nothing complicated. Others will talk about what set of principles, tools, philosophy that automate and integrate the processes between software development and IT operations team. Those are still, valid definitions of DevOps. But we see DevOps as the PPP concept. So once you go out there and then they're asking you that, what is DevOps? You know that DevOps is what? The PPP concept that talks about what? People, process, and product to enable continuous. That's the key word there. Something is continuous. It is not static. Something is continuous that enable continuous delivery of value to your end users, right? Now, so to be able to understand this further, right, let's talk about, let's break it down and talk about two dysfunctional teams that you find anywhere in any IT organizations. And what are these two dysfunctional teams? I call them dysfunctional, because someone will say that these two departments are always at loggerheads with each other. They are always fighting. So let us understand why. Now, these two dysfunctional teams, the guy up here is a developer, right? And the guy beneath him here is more like the IT operations guy. Something that you're going to, of course, be aware of, the sysadmin guy or the server guy, the guy in charge of deployment, so to say. Now, these two units, they are always at loggerheads with each other. Why? Because this guy up here, who is a developer that works out of the application development team, he knows that it will always be measured by the amount of changes and the amount of features it pushes to the target environment. Now, what that means is that his end game is just to ensure that whatever it is that I am giving, I need to push it out as soon as possible. Like, let me code it, let me push it out. Code it, test, push it out. That is what is concerned about in the traditional setting, right? Now, this guy here, the IT operations guy here, is concerned about two things as well: stability and availability of his platform. You can see that he's in a server room somewhere, trying to, check the system. That is what is particular about. Now, we now have, so it means we have one group that want to push changes very fast. We have another group that does not want any changes to be pushed at all because of the stability and the availability. And guess what? This was what gave birth to DevOps. To bring about an alignment, these two guys, to bring about an alignment and collaboration between these two units, right? Because at the end of the day, if these two units are not in sync, it's only one person that will suffer, which is the business. And that is what gave birth to DevOps. And that is why in this bootcamp, we are raising DevOps leaders, DevOps evangelists that will go out there to resolve all of these issues within the traditional setting. Of course, we have several organizations that are doing that today, that have actually imbibed DevOps. Again, DevOps is not all about the tool alone. That is the misconception that everybody has been talking about. DevOps is not all about the tool alone, right? But it's all about the culture. And what is the culture? The culture is to foster communication and collaboration between the teams in an organization. It's as simple as that. So let's move on. Now, what are the benefits of DevOps? The benefits of DevOps are divided into two: velocity and quality, because DevOps is very important, just like I've said, to the transformation of any business based on these two things: velocity and quality. What is velocity? This is not physics. What is velocity? Velocity talks about how quickly products and applications can be passed through the pipeline. And that was what that first guy the application guy is all about. Like, I want to quickly pass my product and applications so that I can get to production. Why the second benefit of DevOps is the quality. Now, when we're talking about the quality, we're not talking about the speed alone, we're not talking about the velocity alone, but the standard of applications that pass through the pipeline to the end. And that is what the second guy is all about, right? It's all about quality. Whatever is being released to my production, will it break down my production environment? That is what quality is speaking to. Now, combining these two, velocity and quality, is what leads to the business transformation process of any organization. So we are bringing in velocity, we are bringing in quality to pass through an automated pipeline, right, to the target environment, so to say. So moving on, let's talk about another two important concepts. Talking about lead time. What is lead time? You're going to hear this word a lot when you start working with DevOps. Lead time is all about measurements, right? So it measures how much time has passed between committing code and deploying to production. So by the time there's an idea, right? By the time the developers start coding that idea, we start measuring the time between when the developer commits his code to when it gets to production. That is, finally gets to the target market, right? So long lead time would limit your organization's ability to deliver value to your customers. Remember, we're talking about velocity and quality. So it means for us to be able to deliver that quality, very important, we need to have what we call a lead time so that at least we can measure it. So if customers need to wait for months, years, or like a longer time for product updates to be rolled out, then you should know that customers are more likely to leave your competitors who can ship new features in a week. So lead time is very, very important in DevOps. So as a DevOps practitioner, you need to be aware of this lead time. How much time does it take for an application to finally get to the target environment? Remember, velocity and quality. Now, that now takes us to the short lead time. I've talked about long lead time, right? Short lead time, mean that organization can rapidly deliver more value to their customers. Teams with shorter lead times are able to more quickly respond to customers' feedback, set their industry's speed and pace for innovation, and ultimately win the marketplace. So look at this slide. What can you say about this slide? It says that 50% of Fortune 500 in 2000 now replaced by organizations that use technology to deliver customers value faster, better, and cheaper. The Fortune 500 of today face the same challenge of tomorrow. So what this means is that these guys are ahead. The likes of Twitter, Lyft, Airbnb, Netflix, they are actually ahead because of what? Short lead times. If there's a complaint today that Netflix is slow, before you know it, tomorrow they've rolled out that feature to make it faster. And today in Nigeria, you can also think about organizations that have short lead times, organizations that churn out, features almost every now and then. Talk about the likes of, more recently, we know MoneyPoint, Flutterwave, ZoneSwitch, InterSwitch, MTN, and the likes of others. These are guys that by the time there is a feature that they know that if we do not fix this feature right now, our customers are likely to leave to our competitors. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to make use of what? The DevOps culture to be able to, roll out those items in a very fast manner. So let's move on because of time. Let's talk about the DevOps cycle. So the DevOps cycle starts from idea, code, build, deploy, and manage. What does this mean? It means at the initial stage, which is at the idea stage, let's say a customer complains of some sort of anomaly. Maybe it takes longer time for the login page to open. What will happen is that that customer will just maybe write a feedback or a comment somewhere. The business guys or the product owner picks up that bug, right? And in agile methodology, there's something that we call work item. So the product owner picks up that work item, which is, of course, can be a bug requirement or just like a general to do. But in this case, it is a bug. It picks up the bug. It calls a meeting with everybody, like the developer, the testers, the IT operations team. He or she calls a meeting with everybody to be able to discuss that bug. The next thing that goes into the cycle is the coding part. Is the code. And this talk about writing code to be able to work on that work item to fix the bug. That is what the code is all about. Now, the build. What does the build talk about? The build talks about packaging that code that the developer has written. It packages the code into what we call executables or runtimes or what you call artifacts. It packages the code and builds it. So that is what the build is all about. It packages the code, it wraps it in a format that the IT operations team can actually deploy, on the target environment. And the target environment can be the development environment. It can be the QA environment. It can be the staging environment, or what you call a pre-production environment. And then finally, to the production environment. Right? So that is what the build talks about. So by the time we go on, in this boot camp, you're going to understand all of these processes. But I'm just trying to kind of like give you a high level of what the DevOps cycle is talking about. Then the deploy talks about, how the artifact is released to the target environment. Remember, we started from idea. The developer has written some code to be able to fix that issue, right? This code is now built into what we call an artifact. And of course, there are also some other processes that still go on, things around unit testing and what have you. But this is just high level, right? It builds it and deploys to the target environment. It could be the production environment, it could be the QA environment, and then at the end of the day, there is what we call the manage stage. And this manage stage talks about things around monitoring, observability, and what have you. This process is not manual. Traditionally, today, right, I don't want to mention banks that are still doing traditional way of deploying applications to target environments. And guess what? Those kind of banks, they have long lead time. So if a customer should complain today that, your app is this, your app is that, it will take them months for them to be able to fix that thing. But if the Fortune 500 picks up that bug, before you know, tomorrow, they are able to fix that bug based on this DevOps lifecycle, right? And this is just the summary of what this bootcamp is all about, to assist you to be able to understand how to navigate your way through to the end of the manage step, right? So finally, this is what I call the DevOps Burger, right? This is just like the summary of, what the kind of tools you would be making use of course, as a DevOps practitioner. I think the last time I made my research, there are over 350 tools within the DevOps, culture. So if someone is telling you that if you don't know this, then you are not a DevOps practitioner. If you don't know this, then you are not a DevOps practitioner, right? It is not possible for you to know all the entire 350 tools, but it is very, very essential that you have a functional understanding of the different use cases that those tools, like how they actually come into play, so to say. So this is the DevOps Burger itself. It's telling you that for you to be a successful, DevOps practitioner, right? The legend in blue are the important tools. The legend in blue are the very important ones. The legend in yellow are important, while the legend in this other color is just normal. So talking about programming, right? Most people will say that, okay, like if I want to collaborate with the application development team, I must learn programming. No, it is not compulsory for you to learn programming for you to be successful, right? But it is recommended to at least know some basics of programming. Again, basics. And what are the basics? You've been given, for example, now you've been given like a Node.js app, or you've been given a .NET framework app to be able to deploy to the environment. The most important thing is for you to be able to collaborate with the developer. Okay, how are you able to build this on your local system? Building, remember, is packaging. You're asking him locally, how are you able to build it locally on your PC? You can now leverage on that local way he uses to, form what we call your build steps within your CI/CD pipeline itself. So you're not just sitting down and going to the internet and, copying someone else's YAML file on how to be able to build. No, you are collaborating with the developer. Okay, how do you want this code to be built? And what have you? So that is why it is very essential that at least some of these programming languages, Python, Golang, JavaScript, and Ruby. Remember, the one in blue is what? Very important, while the one in yellow is important. So, so the next thing is the server administration. At least you must have an idea of server administration. Linux, you can see that what comes first is Linux, even before Windows. It is essential that you must, like, this is like the building block of anything DevOps. You must. The must is in capital letter, MUST. You must know Linux to the core. You can't run away from it, right? Unix and Windows. Then talking about network security, you must at least have TCP fundamentals of how packets move from one level to another level. Just basic high-level fundamentals. Servers, talking about the different catching mechanism, which we'll still talk about in this bootcamp. The different kind of web servers, database, talking about NoSQL, SQL, your relational databases, and all. Again, don't say that you want to learn all of these things. Just pick, one or two things to get yourself familiarized with, right? And we are going to cover most of all of these things, although we may not cover all the important and the very important concept, but at least we'll touch on all of these things so that you can have an idea of what this is. So going to infrastructure as code, talking about Ansible, Puppet, Chef, SaltStack, containerization, very important. We'll talk about Docker, we'll talk about Kubernetes, infrastructure provisioning, talking about Terraform, CI/CD. Some will say, I personally don't use Jenkins, right? That's weird, because they will tell you that if you don't know how to use Jenkins, then you are not doing. I don't use Jenkins. I've used Jenkins before. I use TeamCity. Even in production, TeamCity is what I use. I don't use Jenkins, funny enough. And that does not mean that I am not, practicing DevOps, so to say. Programming, I don't use Python. I use Golang. Do you understand? So you can use JavaScript, others can use Python, while others can use Circle CI. It doesn't really mean that whatever interview that you are going for, they will tell you that, no, you must know how to use Jenkins. Although Jenkins is very, very simple to set up and all, but depending on your use case, right, you can use any of these tools. Monitoring and logging, right? I don't use Prometheus, I don't use Grafana, I don't use Zabbix. I make use of Datadog. today in production. Azure Cloud, as funny as it is, right? My major strength is Azure. Others use AWS, like Nuruddin, Sheon, they use, AWS. I mean, use of Azure doesn't mean that I don't know AWS. Login, right? I use ELK, right? And that just to give you an idea of saying if you don't know, although the marketplace is turning towards AWS, it is very good that at least you know two cloud platforms, AWS or Azure, or even GCP. Very, very important. So these are just high level of what I'm going to be covering in this boot camp, right? And I just hope and believe that we'll all be able to start strong and finish together. So let us start this journey together. And then lastly, before I give my co-founders the floor to also make their own presentation, I want to talk about these incredible guys that I've been very, very fortunate to work with, right? Oluwaseun Oyetoyinbo and Nuruddin Kamilu. So Seun has been, one of my closest friends back then when we were working together, in the financial space. And this was someone that was in charge of, I think, over 10,000 pieces in Nigeria, right? It was managing over 10,000 to 12,000, computer systems in Nigeria. And it was very, very transformative because he had so many people that were working under him. He is a very, very good leader. When it comes to transformational approach, Seun is someone that you would always work to when it comes to transforming an IT place. So, and no wonder he's in one of like the top telecommunication organizations today in Nigeria, and is at the top. When I'm talking at the top, he's sitting at the top. And this is someone that I respect a lot. And when I actually walked to him, talking about this kind of platform, he was not hesitant at all. He just gave me the go ahead, and that was how we got here. So if you're looking for someone with a very the kind of experience that Seun has, we should all be lucky to have him, within the DaaS platform itself. So Seun is going to bring in his experience, and he's going to take some of our courses. If you have any question at all, not just DevOps alone, in IT, you can always reach out to him on the Discord platform, and it would take you one-on-one to lead you through what needs to be done. Very important. So just like I've said, this platform is not just about DevOps alone, but it's all about if you are confused in your IT journey, these are the people that you can actually speak with. These are the people that have gone through all of those parts. Remember, I started sleeping on the data, on the floors of the data center in that code room. So I've been through it all. So we are in the best position to be able to show you how we navigated all of those paths to become who we are today and who we are aspiring to become tomorrow. The second person, Nuruddin Kamilu, is like the prof of our team. This was someone that learned Linux in 1 month. He learned not just learning the basics, he learned it to the core. He learned Linux in 1 month, and since then, we actually work together as well in the same organization. And since then, you can see that I'm even short of words, so to say. This is someone that has all of the certifications in Kubernetes. Talking about CKA, CKAD, and CKS. He has all of those certifications. Is it Linux? He has experience in this. And because he's a very, very sharp learner, right? He's going to take you through, some of the industry standard tools they're going to be talking about in this boot camp. So we're all lucky to have this minded, abled knowledge-driven individuals. So please, again, Seun is also going to introduce some of the faculty members as well, and the people that will also be coming in to assist with this transformative work. Again, please let us take this very, very seriously. We're not here to joke. And if you see that you are not really, again, I will repeat myself, if you see that you are not really performing, please, nobody should come to us and beg. Nobody should come to us and beg. We would give you that period, maybe like a month. If you are not getting any traction, then we'll just evict you out of this bootcamp. It's as simple as that, right? So let's work together. When you are giving assignments, Nudin is going to talk about all of those concepts. When you are giving assignments, it is expected that you submit your assignments and be ready for presentation. Everything in this bootcamp is going to be project-based. Nobody is giving you theoretical concepts here. And everybody in the team is expected to participate, because questions will not be asked. You can just call anybody that, okay, based on this, what do you think about this? And based on your responses, we'll measure you. And if you see that you are not really serious about what it is, right, we'll just have to take drastic measures. Thank you so much. I will leave the floor for Seun. Seun, please, you can go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Dapo. That was super. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Like you had mentioned, my name is Oluwaseun Oyetoyinbo, one of the co-founders for daas.ng DevOps as a Service. And I'm going to take us through just a minute. Let me share my slide. Yeah, so I'm taking us through the mission of daas.ng, and you'll be wondering, why the DevOps mentorship? Why do you want to do a mentorship program for people? And you are doing it in a space where you're not charging. Like you had mentioned, is free of charge at no cost. You are not taking a dime for it. We're doing it free of charge. We want to transfer knowledge to you. And like you mentioned, we've been friends, we've been colleagues long back before now. And I remember when you reached out to me and he said, this is an idea I have. This is what I'm looking at, how we can, transform the landscape of IT in Nigeria. We see a lot of things happening in Nigeria, in the IT world. We see a lot of things, a lot of changes because based on our exposure, based on the activities we're involved in, the kind of work we do, the organizations we've worked for, we get some exposure with the way IT is being practiced in some other place different from Nigeria. And we felt like, we understand what is happening outside in Europe and the likes. And can't we transform what is happening in Nigeria? Can't we make a contribution? We can start very little, and before you know it, we go to become very big and becoming a force to reckon with in Nigeria. And that gave birth to this bootcamp program. This is the second that we're having since we started. We started last year, and we're having the second one this year. It has been a serious battle to start this because of how busy we are, trying to engage different faculty leaders, a lot of partners to come up with this. And it's not just a bootcamp to come and learn. It's not just to come and learn tools. I want to learn how to use Jenkins. I want to learn how to use Ansible and the likes. And based on interaction that I've been having, I see most people, their focus is just on the tool. I want to learn it. Like you mentioned, in 3 months, I want to become a DevOps engineer. In 1 year, a DevOps engineer. What are the tools I need to learn? Oh, do I need to learn how to use Google Cloud? Do I need to learn how to use AWS, Azure, and the likes? And we find out that DevOps is quite big, it's very broad. It's just beyond just learning the tools. It's just more than that. And so the mission of daas.ng, really, we want to see how we can disrupt, we want to demystify DevOps practice in Nigeria. A lot of people see it as a big word. Hey, DevOps, wow. You see it as something that is big, is only for the very intelligent people that can do it. Some people feel DevOps is for programmers, for developers. No, when you look at the word DevOps, development and operations, oh, if you don't know how to program, you can't do DevOps. I've had people tell me that a lot of times. I have a lot of mentees, they come, they ask questions, please, can I learn DevOps even if I don't know how to program? I said, yes, you can. So it's beyond just development. There are a lot of things that are coming together to bring up that space, DevOps. And we are looking at demystifying that process. We want to demystify that practice here in Nigeria. And how do we want to achieve that? We want to do that by learning, innovation, and disruption. And that is why we have set up this bootcamp. You are going to learn a lot. And to play in the DevOps space, you must have a mind of learning. If you're not ready to learn, then you won't be able to fit in. It will be very difficult. It will be a very struggle. It will be a very tough. You have a very tough time to remain in that space because things are very dynamic in that space. You mentioned over 300 tools that are currently being used in DevOps. And many more tools are still being developed. We have many more tools, open source, some are paid for, some are not, some are licensed, a lot of tools. So you can't just focus on tools. So for us, innovation, learning innovation and to disrupt. And like you mentioned, when you talk of DevOps, wherever direction you want to look at it from, it involves three very influential stakeholders. One is people, you have the process, you also have technology. He mentioned products. So there's no how you want to run in any IT space today. Think of any product. Think of Netflix, for instance. There's no how Netflix would have been successful without people. There's no how Netflix will be making the money they are making if process is having issues. And there's no how you can say, I don't need people, I don't need process, let me focus on technology. You have the three coming together. They must interwoven. They have to integrate together and smoothly integrating together for you to be able to deliver value to customers. So you don't just focus on technology. Most times people are just focused on this quadrant of technology. Let me learn as much too I want to learn. Oh, I want to have certifications. I want to do this. I mean, you need to have that in mind. And if you check the style in which we have started our the boot camp, when we created our Discord, we try to do some things intentionally, not because of we don't know what to do or not because of how we not organized or what. We brought in the Discord and want to see how well you guys can collaborate, which is very important. Aside of the tool, there's need for you to collaborate. And there is where you have Discord. Most often than now, in the DevOps space, there will be need for you to meet with teams, different people. You come across different people, different projects you'll be working upon, and time is very important. And so we introduced that Discord channel to see how well you guys can collaborate. We give some assignments. So you look at the very first assignment. Some of you felt it's not to just come up with a team lead. That was an assignment to test you guys. Like I mentioned about lead time. So we want to see the lead time you guys have from each team. Is it short? Is it long or short? Some people were able to come up and they met with it. We told you guys Friday, 12 noon. Some people were able to meet up with that 12 noon. Some people came up and say, oh, sorry, we have something we are not able to deliver. Those are the live realities you experience as a DevOps practitioner. You'll be given projects, you have a timeline you've been given. You need to come, you don't have an excuse to give. You need to do it very well, velocity and quality. You don't just can't say because I've been given one day to do it, let me just come up with something, just anyhow. No, the quality has to be there. And you also need to ensure that you meet up with the time. So we're bringing up this DevOps Bootcamp is an opportunity, is a platform we have set up together to help you to have an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to collaborate. You need to learn as much as you need. There's no limit to your learning. So you can even learn beyond what will be taken in the class. We're just setting up foundation, fundamentals, learning the fundamentals about DevOps, the processes that are involved, the practices. Is a culture. It's just not about the tools. It's how you are able to solve problem. Like you mentioned, the end goal is giving value to customers. No matter what you learn, no matter what you do, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how technical you are, if you are not giving value to your customer, then you've not gotten the goal yet. And so, you now ask why DevOps? You can see, like I mentioned to us, you see a lot of people are involved. And because of a lot of people are involved in digital transformation, business want to be transformed. They don't want to do things the old way anymore. You see a lot of roles coming up. Before now, years back, what you hear is sysadmin, you hear of helpdesk and the likes, a lot of funny roles. But today you see developers, you see some people say they are product engineers, some people are data engineers, you have QA, you have solution architects, you have the security analysts, you have the operation engineers, and these are all different roles that are happening. And let me just tell a little story about this. So he talked about idea. The business person comes up with the idea. The business leader tells you, I have this product. I'm looking at something that people can, I'm looking at, like, let's take, for instance, Netflix. Somebody came up with that idea. That is the business guy. He knows that there's a product I can sell to people. People can make subscription monthly, get to watch whatever movie they want to watch, program they want to watch, come online. You can access it from whatever part of the world that you have. He has that idea, but he doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, doesn't know how he can use technology to make it work. But the idea is there. So that is where the plan comes in. And it gives to the developer. The developer looks at it and he says, well, this idea, okay, let me convert it for you. He's able to convert it into codes. And these codes cannot just work on their own. You need to build them to be able to make them work just exactly as the business guy has in his mind. That idea he has in his mind, you want to put them into code, build them up. And as you build them, you have the ops guys that say, oh, okay, it's now in the development. The developer has it. He wants to take it live now, take it to the production environment where value can be derived from it, where you have your customers making use of it and the likes. And you have different roles coming up because of that. And you can't just leave developers and the operation guys to just run the whole show. You need the quality analyst there. You need the data engineer. Data engineer is looking at the value. There are a lot of things that are embedded in data that you're not seeing. For instance, the data guy can tell you, data analyst or data engineer can tell, oh, we're having high number of users from Africa. Where in Africa are we getting this number of users? What is it in Nigeria? What can we do? Or they can even tell you based on data at particular period of the time, maybe on Sundays, we find out that we have more people watching it. Why? Because a lot of people are at home, there is no work. On public holidays, they can see there are a lot of things that they can tell you from that data, a lot of stories they can tell you that also help to drive revenue for the business. And so DevOps is not just talking about the tool. You have people coming together, you have process, you have the technology. So we're not going to look at technology. We want to come up, we are going to give you tips, fundamentals about DevOps that you can apply in real life scenarios, and I want you to have this at the back of your mind. The end goal here is not to make you to become a DevOps engineer in 1 month, in 2 months. We want to give you things that you will need. I mean, building that culture in you that will help you to transform your organization. That culture in you that will make you to become a practitioner that can be reckoned with. There are things you just need beyond just knowing the tool, beyond just knowing what technologies that are involved, or web database, the looking at the CI/CD tools and the like. Beyond just knowing that, there are culture you need to be aware of. There are practices you need to be aware of. There are processes that you need to learn. And as you learn those processes, you can apply them, and it will help you to better fit into that DevOps space. And that is the whole essence why we have come up with this bootcamp. And we want to encourage everyone to be fully active. It's going to be very engaging and very interactive. And like Dr. mentioned about the way we want to achieve the process, we're not going to come with questions. It's not certification questions. These are project-based. The way organizations work, the way DevOps companies, they work in real life. Those are the kind of projects we'll be coming up with. And we expect you guys to interact, collaborate. It's not all about one person. It's not leaving the whole work to one person. Learn, opportunity to learn. It's not just during the bootcamp classes you can learn. And that's why we have the Discord channel for you to learn. You can also engage with any of the founders, like I mentioned. And that is one advantage you have compared to other platforms. There are platforms whereby they just come and upload videos, go and watch. You don't get to interact. You get stuck at some point. You don't know what to do. You start Googling and the like. So that's why you have the founders. You have the
Sorry, I think Shem is having issues with his network. He will join shortly.
Okay, I think while we are waiting for Oluwaseun to come back, can you hear me, Oladapo?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. While we are waiting for Oluwaseun, I will quickly, take us through the roadmap that we have for this year's bootcamp, as well as some of the rules that we have for the bootcamp. Hi everyone. My name is Kamilu Nuruddin. I know some of you know me before, some of you are just meeting for the first time. It's nice to be here with you all, and I'm also one of the co-founders of DevOps as a Service Nigeria. Oladapo has been, a very good man, and I can say that his involvement in our bootcamp has, helped a lot. And Oluwaseun as well, which was my boss. I call him Kali Baba. Dapo said something. He said he's at the top, one of the top companies. I call him lonely at the top. So Baba, I hail. So let me just quickly bring up my presentation slide, and we can quickly shoot at it. Just a minute. Okay, I have a lot of slides here. Let me know when you can see my slides. Just a minute, please. Okay. All right. So can you see this slide now? Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, hi everyone. Once again, I welcome you all to this bootcamp 2023. In DAS, we have a motto, and the motto is learn, innovate, and disrupt. That is our motto because it covers, more of the cycle of learning. And, when you acquire a new knowledge, you learn it and you try to innovate with the knowledge you've acquired over time. And at the same time, you try to disrupt the existing technology. So what is our mode and format for this mentorship program? The first thing is that some of you are aware of these rules. Some of you are aware of this information, but I will also like to iterate this because it is very, very important. And I am one of the people that take, the laws very, very strict here. I take it very strict, and if you mess up, you're out of the bootcamp. That's just it. So the format for this mentorship program is that we are going to be having classes on Saturday, just like today. And the classes are estimated to, to hold for 2 hours, some of which can extend maybe like 2 hours, 30 minutes or 2 hours, 20 minutes. And these classes as well will always hold between the period of 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. That is, you can have a class holding by 2 p.m., ending by 4, but it's not going to be impromptu because you are going to have, an information on the time, like a week before or maybe 5 days before that particular event. And this is because of the fact that our faculty members are very busy. I myself am also very busy, and we try to look at what is the best time during the weekend to be available for these classes. Another thing is that we have team meetups on Wednesday. And this team meetups is basically within you guys in your team, because after every section, you are given a project or an assignment to work on. And this team meetups is just an opportunity or an avenue for you guys to meet up. So you meet up in your Discord channel. I know some of you already have WhatsApp group and so on. It's fine. But one of the reasons why we bring up, this Discord channel as well is because of the fact that it gives you the opportunity to be able to use some of the collaboration tools that is being used in the tech industry. Discord, Slack, and so on like that. And even on Discord, for example, you can easily write a code in the chat and somebody can easily copy it compared to WhatsApp, because it's not going to be easy. But if you have a WhatsApp channel, it's always good for you probably to have group calls or so on like that. But nonetheless, your interaction, your engagement on Discord is very important. And with this as well, we'll also be able to identify people that are participating in projects or not participating. So this is important. So I'm always behind the scene. Most of the time I don't talk. I'm always behind the scene watching and looking at what you guys are doing in your different channels. Another important information is that on Fridays, we'll be having the team presentation. And this presentation basically covers, your ability to have been able to carry out, 1 or 2 tasks or projects that have been assigned to you during the previous, the previous class. And you come as a team, we can tell you that, okay, you can pick anybody randomly. Okay, we want 1 person in your team to present, or we want, 2 people in your team to present, something like that. And we can throw the questions at you. At the same time, other members of the of the mentorship program, that is members from other teams as well, can also throw questions at you. This will be graded, and it's not as if there's going to be like 100% mark or something like that, but at the same time, we're going to grade it in such a way that we can know, identify your core strengths in that skill, in that team, and also be able to identify who is, is a specialist in this particular field and who is not a specialist in this particular field. And with that, we'll be able to, integrate you guys together to, to have an overall knowledge of what we are teaching you. And finally, participation is 100%, please. 100% participation is required. And your inability to, to participate 100% in this bootcamp may lead to disqualification, or probably you get a temporary ban or so on. Because I can tell you, we are trying to give you the time. And as you know as well, it's a rigorous learning path. It's not easy for you to know all the tools in DevOps within just 1 year itself. It's not possible. We have a lot of tools. But we try as much as possible to cover the concepts that are important to you and, that are necessary for you to have, that fundamental basic DevOps knowledge that we have. And at the same time, these are the skills you're going to learn are some things that you get to grow on. That is, you develop on some of these skills, after the bootcamp. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the roadmap. I know a lot of us has been expecting the roadmap for this bootcamp. And we basically plan 13 to 14 weeks for this bootcamp. Today is the start day, which is like week 1, if you don't know. And if you are very, very, attentive and, in this program, you'll see that Dapo and Kali, that I call him Kali. Oluwaseun is Kali. He loves to work with Kali Linux a lot. So I call him Kali. So, so Oluwaseun has, talked about some DevOps principle and the culture, trying to let you understand, why DevOps is important, how DevOps is able to create a union between yourself and as well as, the people and the products that, you are giving out to people there. Then aside that, we also talk on Linux fundamentals. And I mean Linux fundamentals, Kadako was saying that I learned Linux within 1 month. Yeah, it's very correct. And it's not just about learning, it's about also knowing how to use it very, very well. It's about knowing, how to troubleshoot on this environment as well. So I'm going to take you some of the command line basics. For me, I say command line is very important because Linux is all about interacting with terminals, with shells. So your ability for you to understand the different commands to run at different time or for different purposes is what makes you a Linux administrator. You grab me? And also, we also get to talk about, Git as well, that is version control system. And also tell you about, the microservice architecture, talking about, the 12-factor application, letting you to know that, okay, what is monolithic, what is microservices, what are the things that concern, that, consist of the microservice architecture, why is microservice better than monolithic approach, and so on like that. So these things are important, and we have tried to, bring out this roadmap such a way that it covers those important things you can do. Like what was saying in his story that he slept at the data center. We slept together at the data center, if you don't know. And it takes time to learn a lot of these things. It takes time. Like I could tell you then, it was like if you are speaking rubbish. Nobody understand what was going on. But now we are proud to come back and, share this information or the knowledge you have accrued over time with people and ready to train you as well. So in the 4th week, we are going to talk about Docker. Talking about Docker here, we teach you the Docker basics. We teach you, how to create a Docker file, for example, how to create a Docker image, for example. Also, we also talk about, network, Docker network, how to manage networks in Docker, talking about data management in Docker, because it's very, very important. And I know a lot of people are interested in week 5 and 6, which is Kubernetes. Yeah, Kubernetes is difficult. And it's a field that it is still developing up to the moment. It's developing. I have all the certification in Kubernetes, but it is not easy to have it. I can tell you, and there are a lot of stresses behind the scene. And even with that, I still learn every day. So that is why we have tried to, schedule 2 weeks for you on Kubernetes to explain to you what is the architecture behind that, Kubernetes, what are the major components, where are the areas in which we have development in that architecture. We also take you through how to deploy simple applications on Kubernetes and also be able to manage, applications on Kubernetes. Then in week 7 is going to be more like a break, and we have a webinar. We are going to be one of the top, tech experts in the industry, people that have been, working in management and so on in technology, and they are going to come and share their experience with you about DevOps. They're going to come and explain to you, because we have a lot of faculty speakers and people that are working in Microsoft, that are working in Dell, that are working in multimedia industries and even in core IT consultancy firms. Yeah. So these people are going to come around, they're going to talk to you about 1 or 2 things. And after that, we'll now go into application deployment and automation, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. How do you fast track this? How do you integrate this with your application that is running on Docker and that is running on, on Kubernetes? Please note that many of these many of these concepts, or let me say many of these topics are going to be project-based. So it's important that you take your time. I mean, take your time to please, assimilate or try to understand what we have taught you. In our, what's it called? Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Maybe when I talk about the Discord server, I'm going to explain some of the Discord server, because we have created those Discord server in such a way that every information you have, you can get it on that server. But continuous integration, continuous deployment has to also do with, your application deployment, automation, and so on like that. Then finally, we go to IAC, infrastructure as a code. How do you create your resources, your virtual machines, your database servers, create some security rules and so on like that, not using the console, but this time you are trying to create them using infrastructure, using code, using YAML formats, YAML files to do this. So we'll talk about that. We get to talk about Terraform, for example, and CloudFormation, and also explain to you, how best, what are the best practices for these tools. I know you have a lot of questions. There's going to be time for questions and answers, so you can get to ask me any question. I believe that this roadmap covers the basics that you need to work as a DevOps, or to get the base knowledge required to work in the industry as a DevOps engineer. Then also we go to the 4th quarter, And this quarter has to work on what we call infrastructure monitoring and security. Infrastructure monitoring, you have deployed the application, right? You have the application running, everybody is happy. But how do you monitor the performance of that your infrastructure? How do you get to, be able to predict, when there are going to be downtimes, or be able to predict when there's going to be ICP utilization on your server that is running? That is where Prometheus and Grafana comes in. You use Prometheus to scrape logs on your environment, and you also use Grafana as well to be able to, to be able to create a dashboard for monitoring some of your application. And when we are doing some of these things, we are writing code, we are deploying on infrastructure, everything is fine. Security is there because there are some people that their work is just to hack you. That's it. It's just to hack, and they make a lot of money. I have a best friend, he's a cybersecurity hacker, and I can tell you by just hacking a simple website, he can make up to hundreds of dollars within just 1 hour. I'm telling you. And they get paid for some of these things. Some people hack because they want to create a bug in your system, and they create the solution to that bug as well and tell you to pay for it. And I can tell you, many of the tech industries nowadays, they spend a lot of money in buying security tools. So your ability to write code using the best practices, and at the same time to protect both your infrastructure, that you protect the code, the infrastructure, the application, and even your network is very, very important. So in this case, we are going to pick someone from a tech industry, someone that's working in the networking field, someone that's working in the DevOps field in one of the tech industries, going to come talk to you about, DevSecOps, securing Kubernetes application, your clusters, and also, best code practices. Then the last part is going to be cloud computing concept. We have a lot of cloud technologies here, and we are going to, pick a few of them and let you understand the concept behind it. Now, I want to explain one or two things for you. If you look at this roadmap, we have tried to just, identify a bit of them. Some people might say, you people are not talking about GitLab. You are not teaching me, Azure pipeline. You're not teaching. The thing is that in DevOps, we have a lot of tools, a lot of tools. But your understanding of the concept is what matters, because when you understand the concept of a tool, you can be able to use it another tool that works under the same idea. I once met with, the director of engineering for Google Cloud in my country here. And she was trying to tell me, come work for Google and another thing like that. I told her, I don't have time for Google because I do not usually use Google services as often like AWS or Azure Cloud. And she told me that I'm not going to ask you, how to use Google Compute. She told me, as far as you know what is a server, as far as you know what is a virtual machine, whether they call it Google Compute or in AWS they call it EC2 instances, or in Azure they call it Azure VMs, you understand the concept behind it. That is what I need. So the same thing we are bringing into here, whether it is GitLab, whether it is Azure pipeline, whether it is Bamboo, it's still the same concept. Whether it's AWS, whether it is Azure, whether it's GCP, it's the same concept. Whether it's Grafana, whether it's Datadog, it's the same concept. Whether it's ELK, whether it's Splunk, they all come from the same concept. So even if you are using Git, some people might not be using Git, some people may be using Bamboo. They are all repositories. Some people even use Azure Repo. Some people use code commit. Code commit on AWS. They are all repositories. So your ability to understand the concept behind this is what matters. Take, for example, we talk about Linux. There are a lot of Linux families we have. I call Oluwaseun Kali Baba because he used Kali Linux. He loves to work Kali Linux. There's Ubuntu Linux, there's Red Hat Linux, there's Oracle Linux, but they all come with the same concept. It is just one or two differences between the two of them. Sorry, between these different tools. So this roadmap is believed to cover everything you need, to start or to understand the basics of having a DevOps knowledge. Now, when they say something, when there is no rule, there is no offense. Discord, that is my place. And in my Discord, I have rules. So I tell people, watch your steps. I am looking behind the scene. I am looking at what you are doing. I am looking at it. And in my Discord, we have a lot of rules, which is very important, and you must try as much as possible to abide by the rule. One of the, if you are in our Discord channel has been provisioned in such a way that we have three major channels. We have the general information. Here is where you get to have information that concerns everybody, maybe information about classes, information about new events, and so on like that. This is where you, or even when you want to ask questions that is peculiar to that is peculiar to what you have taught in the last class, this is where you drop it. And in this place as well, we have a lot of rules. Number one rule, because if you have joined the Discord channel in the beginning, you know that some of our rules is that, you don't speak foul language. You try to respect people. Another thing is that we try to be polite when you are talking to people. This is not a place where you are coming to come and discuss sensitive topics like religion, topics like politics. No. And it's not also a place whereby you have to come and, you have to come and, probably bring up an event that happened in a class or something like that. You have to bring it up and come and start ranting about it. No, we have rules. And at the same time, we have other channels which has to do with what we call it career job information. We don't just teach you and leave you. No, we don't do that here. We teach you, we follow up with you, we give career information. That is my own specialization. I can always look, okay, maybe a company is interested in recruiting somebody. I can always, okay, there's this job. If you're interested, apply, send your CV and so on like that. So we will always be dropping job vacancies in this job vacancy channel. You can also drop as well if you have. Please drop. That is what we have that channel for. And we have another channel which has to do with DevOps resources. This is where we will see class materials, textbooks, expensive textbooks that you can hardly get. This is where we get to drop it. And this is the same place where you can also discuss about maybe a DevOps material that you have read in the past and, you want to share the knowledge with people. This is it. So your ability for you to, abide by the rules and regulation will also not let you to be kicked out of the channel. You can see that word, caution. You will be kicked out or you will be temporarily banned or permanently banned from the channel. So it's important, very important for you to abide by the rules and regulation of my Discord server. I call it a server because server is the tools, it's part of the terminologies that we use in in the IT environment. So even your teams as well, you will notice that your teams are being named to, to follow some of the DevOps terminologies. Like you can hear team Container Kings, for example. You can hear team Pipeline Ninjas, Cloud Champions, Code Masters. These are some of the tools and technology. So when we are in this space, let us use the DevOps language. With that, we get to be able to be more, convenient with the tools as well as also, is also speaking out to people and, interacting with people. Now, I'm going to talk about our success story. Like, this is not the first time we are having this boot camp, and we've had a lot. We've had one in the past, and we have a lot of success story. I can tell them a lot. People reaching out on DMs, people reaching out on LinkedIn and so on like that. People even, chatting other people about us and telling us that, okay, yes, these people did something for you in the past and they're happy and they find themselves in good fields of technology. For example, if you look at my screen, you can see someone like, Oluwagbenga, for example. Oluwagbenga was saying, I had the opportunity of going through another DevOps bootcamp to refresh my knowledge. I would like to inform you that DaaS as a service was indeed worth it, and the quality of the training was top-notch. It was saying big thank you to the co-founders for sharing the knowledge, and it was also creating the opportunity to network. Like that was said, this is an avenue where you can network. You network with people. Look at, I think Oluwagbenga is working at Union Bank. UBA Bank at the moment. We also have Daniel as well. Daniel is also, was also one of our alumni, and he also, gave thanks, talking about, 4 or 5 months of internship, was able to cover Terraform, Ansible, talking about Grafana. We even did PowerShell scripting because we had a PowerShell scripting the last time. It was really fantastic. Talked about, AWS, Azure, and so on, and he's giving thanks. He's also finding himself in the DevSecOps field right now. We have, Liman Hassan. This is I think he sent this to one of our co-founders, then just probably private chat them, and was giving thanks. This is somebody that after some time, he lost his job, and we're able to also help him and get his job back. Now he has 2-3 jobs that he's doing. He was also able to reach out to one of our co-founders, our faculty speakers. That is Shadare. Sheon is going to introduce some of our faculty speakers to you. So this is an avenue for you to connect with people, get in touch with people, learn from one another, and it's so important. Look at Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka is in Dubai now. He's working for Emirates or one of the the Arab companies, or I think it's Emirates right now. And this guy is somebody that I so much like, because during the boot camp, his involvement was obvious. he was always asking questions about one or two things that he does not understand. So it's so much important for you. It's really, really so much important for you that, you take from you learn from the experience of these people, and also you at the end of this boot camp, you're able to say, yes, I'm happy that I've gone through this, this rigorous learning skills, even though Nuruddin may be angry all the time. Nuruddin is always dropping rules and regulation all the time, but still, you appreciate that you went through it, and you are grateful for what has happened, and you see it as a climbing, or let me say a climbing step for your for your career into DevOps. So that is where I'll be stopping for today. I want to say thank you. And if you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me via mail or on Discord. I'm always available on Discord behind the seal. So you can always private chat me as well, and always get in touch as much as possible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nuruddin. Sheung. So Sheung is back. So it's good to continue. Oh, yeah, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, one of the things I'm going to still learn very soon. My own availability zone had a little issue, so I have to do a follow out another availability zone. So I'm back up now. Thanks for all our founders for standing in. I wouldn't spend too much of time. I'll just go straight into these our faculty leaders so that we can give you opportunity to ask questions. I was going through the profiles. We're having discussion while we're preparing for this bootcamp this afternoon, and I just concluded that honestly, one of the wettiest platform you find in Nigeria in the space of DevOps is this daas.ng, because of the quality of faculty leaders who have put together and the founders, the experience they have. These are not just people that are just starting their career, and they have world-class exposure. I mean, they work with international organizations, and you could know what it means to work there. So you're bringing in experience from interaction with an enterprise, and not just enterprise, interacting with people, interacting with tools, interacting with the environment. And one of our faculty leads that we have that will be helping us in this bootcamp is David Obiko. David is a seasoned engineer. He has over 8 years of experience in the financial technology industry. And this is somebody that is rooted in contemporary DevOps methodologies. He enjoys boosting developer productivity, helping organizations to accelerate progress in terms of product development and feature deployment. A lot of methodologies around continuous delivery integration, all within the software development lifecycle. You're surely going to enjoy him. We're going to meet with him. He'll be taking one of his sessions. And we also have Mansour Abdullahi. Mansour Abdullahi is an accomplished technology expert with a very huge wealth of experience in designing and implementing cutting-edge solutions. If you remember the first session I had, I was talking about different roles. You talk about solution architects. This is a set of people that you're still going to meet with in your DevOps journey. You meet the solution architects, going to talk to them. I'm going to see how they will help you. And also in our projects, you will still need all these ideas. You see how you need to be mindful of design, so that if there's a design flaw, it can also affect your environment. It can result to an issue. It can result to a downtime, a major downtime in your environment. There are very few experiences that I will also share with you. Where we always interact, we see that issues are happening, and really it's not because of the tool, it's not because of, it's just because of it was a design flaw, and you're able to go over it and correct it. So he has a wide range of critical skills, ranging from DevOps, software engineering, enterprise architecture framework, lean principle, agile methodologies, research and development, project management, and business analysis. This guy is very vast. It's very vast. And that's one thing you can take from our faculty leads and our founders. Very, very vast when it comes to DevOps, when it comes to tools, when it comes to concept. And so we write exams also, despite how busy we are. And that's to tell you that the kind of mindset or the culture we have, how we embrace learning. We learn every day. There are times you see reading is sending some questions. Who has used this tool before? I have this current issue. How can I resolve it? Always interacting because we want to learn. We want to keep developing and keep growing. is a continuous circle. It shouldn't stop. And also we have on our list of faculty leads, we have Oluwaseyi Adelusi, the only female. We hope to welcome more females in our midst. I think we have another person also joining us, Bemi also. And so highly experienced software engineer with a career spanning over 6 years. He has a focus on end-to-end software delivery cycle. And expertise is around leading and managing cloud DevOps team for them to even develop top-tier applications, handling cloud-based infrastructure, crafting robust infrastructure solutions. She has proficiency in languages such as Go language that commit mention of it, Python, SQL technologies, technologies like AWS and CI/CD pipelines. She possesses a very comprehensive understanding of the entire software development process. She has passions for enhancing technology to drive innovation and improve people's life. I can tell you that she's a blogger, she writes a lot, and she enjoys improving lives. I've had engagement with her, and I can tell you she was part of our first boot camp. And I want you to know that you have very interesting faculty leads. Also, we have Femi Shadari. I call him the strategist. When it comes to strategy, this guy, just give it to him. He's a driven professional. He has strong passion for shaping strategies and methodologies that drive IT transformation. When it comes to IT transformation, Shadari is just good at it. You are going to learn a lot from him. He's a quiet person, very calm, but he has a very vast and robust experience. These are our faculty leads, and we're going to see more of them. We're going to interact with them. We're going to engage them. We have them on the Discord channel, so it's not we're just introducing them to you so you can have a face to their names. And by the time we start the bootcamp proper, you're going to see more of them. Thank you very much. So I'll give the mic over to Dapo to conclude on the session. Dapo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay. Thank you so much, Sheon. Thank you so much, Nuruddin. Okay, so we actually decided to, we were hoping that we're going to finish this inaugural meeting by 1:30, right? But we have actually gone past our time. So please, if you have questions, you can just how do we do it? Do you want to just signify if you have questions? Maybe you just use the hand icon and then we can just take your questions. So if you have any question whatsoever, you can just ask now. Question based on the bootcamp, DevOps questions, or just any questions that you want to ask us. Please kindly raise up your hand, unmute, and go ahead with your question.
Please ask your questions. It's important. It's important.
Please ask questions. Okay, so I think we're able to do justice to the presentation, right? Okay, I have one person here, Emmanuel Ibok. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you
Yeah,
hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Ibok. Well, I have been in the field of DevOps, I think, for 1 year plus by grace. Though I really want to learn more because I think it's a continuous learning process. My question is based on like in terms of like a job, because most times most of us write resumes and submit to most of these companies and or the organizations. At the end, we'll get a shocking feedback. Unfortunately, we can't move forward with your, our email. So how can we develop or how can we enhance our resume in terms, because we have the ATS, which is the applicant tracking systems. So how can we beat it? Because I've written up to more than hundreds of resumes, and it's giving me a headache. Like, So are you gonna help us with this?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Ibok. Okay, so let me just answer that, and maybe Nuruddin as well as Sean can also contribute. So when it comes to writing resume, right? I think it is very, very important that you note two things. And the first thing is that you have a very, very good template. You have a very, very good template when it comes to writing CVs generally, irrespective of the job functions. Even if you're a medical doctor, even if you're a product manager, if you don't follow that template, right? Because the truth of the matter is, just like you've said, there's no recruiter that would go after, checking thousands of CVs one after the other. Nobody will do that. So what they do is just to impute your CV in a particular software somewhere that just checks most of the keywords. So at the end of the day, that software is able to give a summary of all of the CVs that it has actually scanned, and it can now give the recruiter, recommendations. So for example, if the software cannot extract your educational details, of course, you're out, even if you have 20 years of experience. If that software cannot extract your job descriptions properly, you are out. Do you understand? So the first step is getting to, standardize your CV so that once you pass it through, of course, we have some sites online that can, that can give you like a near real life experience of how your CV is going to come out, right? I actually use it almost every now and then. So when it comes to CV templating, we would also handle that. And that's where I think no, we didn't talk. No, sorry, Toshina talked about the strategist, who is Femi. So Femi will talk about all of those concepts of how you should be able to properly package your CV. And then we'll also share a sample CV that we use during our last bootcamp. So that is just for the general format of your CV. Secondly, it has to do with interviews, right? Whenever you get an invite for any DevOps or cloud related interview, you should be happy, right? I think I attended, if I'm not mistaken, I think when I was looking for jobs then, I attended more than, in a year, I attended more than 20 interviews, right? Where I will feel I did well. At the end of the day, I will get a rejection mail. And then I now realized that all of these sessions I'm having, all of this experience I'm having, they're actually building me, because I was recording all of the questions they were asking me from all of those interviews, and I was able to form a knowledge-based interview questions. So there is no question that they asked me that I've not come across. So if you are getting rejections, right, don't be desperate to say that I don't want to get my job and move on. Attend as many interviews as possible. Even if you are saying rubbish, just try and say something, right? Just try and say something. I've attended international interviews before, personally, where, the recruiter was asking how I was able to know that particular, area. Okay, so he has a question that what command, of course, in Kubernetes can I use to test if a manifest file would fail or would be successful. I just showed him dry run, and then it was like, wow, like he was so astonished, because I believed maybe based on all of the sessions he had been having, like nobody has been able to answer that particular question, so to say. And that is not because I have used it in any workplace before. It is because, personally studying and all, like I've read so many Kubernetes textbooks over and over again. Do you understand? So it starts from building yourself. So again, don't be desperate to say that you want to get those jobs. First and foremost, build yourself. just like what my co-founder said, build yourself, start from somewhere. If your friends are getting international jobs, tell yourself that in the next few years, I will be there as well. Do you understand? Build yourself, follow this mentorship class, right? Package your CV and always improve yourself so that when it comes to interviews, when it comes to having sessions, you'll be happy they're attending interviews. I don't think I can actually attend any interview today and I'll be scared. Even if I don't get the right response, I know that at least I'll be able to, get something out of those interviews. And it's also give you an avenue to ask the recruiters, right? At the end of the day, once you get rejection mails, you can just send them mails. Please kindly advise on areas, where I can actually improve. And some, you can be fortunate, some will send you your interview reports and you can build on that. So if you are getting rejections, please, in a way, just see it as a blessing in disguise and use that to build yourself. You are going to do many interviews. You need to, use that as an experience for you. I don't know if that answers, but we're going to have a different class at the end of all of these, topics and what. We're going to have a different class where Femi will talk about the different strategies in getting international jobs, in packaging your CV, and even how to be able to answer interview questions. So I don't know if that helps. Maybe, I don't know if Nudin or Shem has any other thing.
I think it should just hold on to the end of the boot camp and it will be able to, get more answers. You've actually said the most important thing. And you should hold on to the end of the boot camp. They will take a class on how to write good CV. You see templates, you get knowledge and you can ask more questions. But the most important thing I tell you is that, first of all, learn first. The more you learn, the more you also, the more you also get to know. So if you don't have knowledge, you just write something on your CV and you cannot defend it, it's going to be a fallacy during the interview stage. And at the same time, we also prepare people for interviews as well. But for now, I tell you, stay focused and you learn. I think I have another person here raising their hand, and just a minute, let me call you. Adetayo.
Good afternoon or good day.
Hi.
So,
Hi, good
thank you
afternoon.
for this great session. Yeah. So the question I have is concerning the role of DevOps in an organization, right? So from the basic concept of DevOps, right, it's supposed to be an in-between between the development and operations, right? So as a DevOps engineer or as a DevOps professional, are we supposed to have a defined role in an organization as the DevOps? Because normally you're meant to be bridging a gap. So that means anywhere there is a loophole in between the development side and the operation side, we're meant to cover it or look for a way to, or let's say just work around it to make sure that it flows for the sake of the business. So is there supposed to be like a defined rule, a defined technology for DevOps per se? That's my question.
Yeah, thank you. I think to start with, if you listen carefully what Dapo was presenting, he mentioned the 3 Ps. That is DevOps uniting the product, the union, and the product, the people as well. And he also told you that, it's a culture. DevOps is a culture. And what actually brings about job role is basically because of the tools that you use. Take, for example, if you see a data analyst, they have a set of tools that they use, right? If you see a software engineer, they have a set of tools that they use. The same way, if you have a DevOps engineer, they have a set of tools that you. So the concept of roles has to do with what are the tools and the technologies you use to achieve your job. However, a DevOps engineer is expected to be involved throughout the software development lifecycle, because if you see the pipeline that Gavo gave you, started what from the idea to the code, to building of the code, to deploying the code, to the management. Who is the person that is carrying everything that we see? That smooth process behind the scene is the DevOps engineer. So you are basically involved in the whole software development lifecycle. So the concept of roles just has to do with what are the tools that you are using to achieve that, what you call it, that's your job description. So that's it. I hope I answered that question correctly. Okay. Okay. Somebody is asking, I think Chika Diaba, the project, how does it run? How does it run? Okay. Hello, can anybody see hear me? Please let me know if you cannot hear me. Oh,
Yes.
okay, good. Okay. The project is very simple. The project is just tasks that you are given. So based on what you are taught, you'll be given real-time tasks to work on. Tasks that is similar to what you expect in the work environment. So with this, you have to do some research, brainstorm within your team and so on like that. Some may not be as easy as you expect it to be, but at the same time, it gives you that, that ability to go extra length to learn more about some tools or some, what you call it, some ways of using some of those tools. So you do it together, you present together as a team. So that's how the project, you have to present together as a team. So maybe in your team, for example, you might say, in my team, or if this is the task, you want to divide it into 3 parts. Well, some people take this part, some people take this part, some people take this part. That's why you need to have a team leader and a team assistant, because with that, you guys are able to identify who are the people that have core strengths in this technology and the other technology, and you can be able to, to distribute the job within yourselves and be able to come up with something solid for us or the faculty speakers during your presentation. Any other question? I think somebody's raising their hand again. Okay. Emmanuel Ibok, okay.
Thank you for giving me the privilege. I want to ask, because in most of let me use that word, infrastructure, when we are using, when you're deploying your code as using Terraform as an infrastructure of our cloud providers, but some of us right now, we don't have any of the cloud provider. We can't access it because of the high cost of it, and most of us, Nigeria, yeah, they always reject our card, and we don't have a dollar card to access to get one again. So, is this organization going to get one for us, or?
Okay, thank you. I understand your question, and it's quite perfect. And yes, it is true that some cloud providers that you get to use may ask you 1 or 2 things, but the way we are going to be running our bootcamp, because we have experience with this as well, we have what's it called? We are going to probably most likely tell you to probably bootstrap a virtual machine on your local system that you can use for some of these tasks. Or at the same time, we have some free platforms that we can tell you, okay, go to this particular platform, run this. Maybe your task may just be that you just need to bring out the the YAML format or the code that you wrote to to bring up that particular task to life. So it may just be that task. So we have experiences with this, and we are able to manage that. Not all the time that you have to probably probably provision a cloud environment or something. Sometimes it may even be our own cloud environment. We give you credentials to use to log into them, and you're able to do 1 or 2 tasks in those places. So it's something that we have experience with, and so there's not going to be a problem with that. So Susan Adebambo, sorry. Hi, Susan. I can't hear you if you're speaking. Hello. Okay, you can type in the chat because I cannot hear you. I also observed that some of you are still having issues with your Slack channel. I'm sorry, it's not Slack, Discord channels, the private channels that you find yourself in. I am going to take my time as well today to also make sure that, we avoid such issues, because I can see some people messaging me about, issues on their Discord channel. Some people, they can see their channel now, they cannot see their channel. It may be a bug on Discord end, but we'll definitely try to look at it together, most likely after this meeting, and make sure that everything is set ahead of our next meeting on Saturday, because this is just, an introductory, or let me say an inaugural meeting. So there is nothing much for now until we start our first, our first class here. So any other question? Okay, Emmanuel Ibok again, you can go on.
Okay, for the class, when are we starting? When are we starting? Like,
The
because
bootcamp has started. Today is an inaugural lecture. If you look at the roadmap I shared with you, today is just an inaugural lecture. Next week, we will be having a class on Linux administration.
is it based on Saturday classes or just like
Saturdays for the classes. I think you're not listening while I was presenting.
No,
Saturday,
I was listening, but the point was that I was just feeling that we have like might have another class like during the week.
Saturday for the classes. Wednesday for your team integration, working on your tasks together. We don't actually need to be there on Wednesday. You just have to work around within yourself. And it's Fridays for presentations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Then somebody is asking, so please, there won't be any cost infringement or any. I don't understand your question, Susan. You said, so please, there won't be any cost. Okay, go on.
Let me take that. I think what she is trying to say is whatever assignment that is given to them will involve something that they have to pay for. We are not encouraging you to pay for
I'm not
it.
encouraging you to pay for anything.
So like we mentioned, we try to look for platforms where you can test, you can do you can implement your project without paying for it, without any cost. Like for instance, Microsoft Azure, you have, I think they now do monthly 200 trial account. You have a trial account where you be giving $200 to play with the platform, and you have some services that are used for free. So you don't have to pay any money for that. AWS has the same thing. Most of these cloud service providers, they have platform where you can try to come on board, explore without paying anything. So it's not the only thing that might cost you is just your internet.
Exactly.
So once you have internet, no issue. And we're not charging anything. So I have some other platforms where you can play around with. There are a lot of playgrounds. You can play around with Kubernetes and Dockers. Once the bootcamp start, we start. Don't worry. Like you mentioned, if you have any question, you can always ask on the Discord channel. We're there to help you. But we try as much as possible to make use of open source platforms whereby you don't need to pay, so that we understand the situation of things in the country. So we don't want to put in too much cost on anybody.
Another important thing is that when you want to ask questions, instead of just tagging our name, maybe Dapo, Oluwaseun, or Nuruddin, you can just tag admin so that if Dapo is not available, I may be available, Sheol may be available, and we can respond to you. But if you tag one particular person, that particular person may be the only person that received that notification at that moment in time. So it's important that, you tag admin so that by the time you tag admin, the three of us can, get notified and anybody that's available at that moment can come in. I think Emmanuel still has a question. Emmanuel, please ask your last question. Okay, John, can you go on? John, please. John?
Okay, yeah, good day, everyone. I don't know if I'm clear.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good afternoon. Yeah, firstly I want to really appreciate the support system and everything that is just starting. I think it's an opportunity for me to start this bootcamp. So my question is, I don't know if there will be a support system where in case you have an interview, maybe even before the end of the program, you have an interview, and then maybe for a DevOps role, is there a support system where you can have maybe counseling on how to go about the interview or the questions or what you should prepare for, something like that? The reason why I'm asking this is because, funny enough, for me, I am just trying to learn, but I get a lot of invitations from recruiters from LinkedIn. I get a lot of them pinging me if I'm interested in DevOps role, if I'm interested in this and that. I get a lot of offers, but because I've not acquired the skills, I am just learning. I'm not able to actually, succeed in any of those opportunities, and there are a lot of opportunities actually sleeping.
Okay. Thank you, John. To start with, I think, like I said earlier, we have a class, or let me say a session coming up on, how to apply for jobs and so on like that. And I also mentioned that, you can always reach out to any of the faculty leaders or the co-founders that's probably, to guide you on one or two interviews. But what I do tell people most importantly is that it's not about the interview, it's about the knowledge, first of all. Acquiring the knowledge is very important, but if you have interviews, we can always prepare for interview. And at the same time, We have had experiences of people that we told them that you are not ready for the job in the industry because, some of you are new to this concept. I will be sincere with you. Some of you, we have to come back and learn. We have people here that they are in the past boot camp, they are coming back again to come and develop more, because the first time they heard about DevOps is DevOps. And I can tell you the reason why you keep on getting interest or for notification of interest from from employers on LinkedIn is because of the most powerful tool that we have in the IT industry right now is DevOps. It's the most powerful that we have right now. So people want to venture into that. People want to look for experts in this field. This is a field that is developing day by day by day. You get me now? So you always be getting interest from from employers on LinkedIn. But I tell people, we can prepare you for interview, but please and please, first of all, get the knowledge that you want. We've had people that have done, probably they went for the interview, and I tell you, after 2 weeks, because DevOps is a clean thing. It's not a job that they need to come and teach you. The onboarding, they come and teach you how to write code. No, or probably how to deploy. They don't teach you that. When you are getting the job, they push you to the field immediately. I've had experiences of people that have lost job after 2 weeks of getting the job. So it's so much important that you get the knowledge. Get the knowledge, and interview can become easy for you. I'm telling you. I personally, as I am like this, I'm not looking for a job. I do interview every time and now, because I use it to do a comparative analysis between what I know and what is in the industry. You grab what I'm saying? So it's so much important that you take the knowledge and, very key. So I hope that answers your question. So any other question? All right. In the absence, okay, somebody again. Okay, Emmanuel. I guess you are going to be my best friend in this bootcamp.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this question because of my team. I thank God for them, but they actually made the team lead because I don't know why. But I really appreciate them for that. Because most of them, some of them are new to it, and I think I'm asking on behalf of them because if it's me, definitely I've made use of those tools before and for it. So I'm also learning because I have to manage some teams because I don't need it in a few. So are we expected to open a GitHub account? Because
Don't worry, for every task that you have, you get your instructions. Don't worry. So you don't need to be too anxious.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
We'll teach you everything. For every task, you get an instruction for it.
And lastly, sorry, I would love to collaborate with you guys a lot, like at least to build myself, especially you. I don't really know your direction. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. That's why we have the platform for everyone. Yeah, thank you. So thank you so much, everyone. And Oladapo, are you there? Maybe you can just round it up for us, or Oluwaseun.
Hey, thank you so much, Nuruddin. So lastly, I just want to also talk about some ground rules. So please, when you are joining any of the sessions, be it on Zoom or anywhere, please kindly know this command. Your first name. Hello, Ifemina, do you want to ask a question? Okay, please kindly always join your first name and your last name, right? And your team in bracket. It is very, very, very important. Then if you are not going to be available for the Friday presentations or any of the Saturday sessions, because of course there might be emergencies and what have you, please kindly inform your team leads on time, right? Because we know the number of people, on the DaaS platform, and we need to start taking, inventory. We need to start taking recordings as well as, attendance. So please, if you're not going to be available, please kindly inform your team lead on time, at least maybe a day before, so that we can get informed, right? Then the third thing is, when we are talking about evicting people from the bootcamp, it is not based on knowledge purposes, really, because we have people that learn, at a different pace, so to say. So we are going to be patient with you, to ensure that you get the concept. And the founders, the co-founders, the faculty leads might not always be available. So if you are not getting responses on time, that was why Nudin said I can just tag admin. If you're not getting responses on time, it doesn't really mean that that's saying maybe we don't want to answer you or what have you. Someone like me, the only time I am available during the week is as from 10 p.m. or upwards, right? So sometimes you want to drop messages for me during the day and I'm not responding. Just know that maybe I don't have the time to even respond, so to say. So please, we are going to be very, very patient with you when it comes to knowledge process. We will not evict you based on saying, based on the fact that maybe you are not getting a concept or you're not getting something done, right? We're going to be very, very patient with you because we have people that are new to IT, that have never used IT before. We'll just try as much as possible to be patient with you. But the time that we're going to evict you is if you are missing sessions and you're not taking permissions, if you are joining late, right, without a prior information, and if you are not participating at all, because your team leads would send us honest reviews. And that is why we also have assistants as well. They will send us honest reviews that, okay, well, this person has not been available for the past 1 month. Of course, like there's nothing else they are doing on the platform that don't evict you. So please don't get it wrong when we talk about eviction, because the first boot camp, we accommodated as many as 80. At the end of the day, we're able to finish with just, I think, 25 or 30. I'm not sure about that. So question now is, what happened to remaining 50? Do you understand? So that was why we actually streamlined this, because we are still getting mails of people coming to beg us that they want to join the boot camp and all. And the excuse that we've been giving to them is that there's no more slots. So please don't waste these slots, because remember, there are other people outside like willing. Someone even still sent me a mail that is ready to pay. So please, that is why we're hammering on this particular, please don't burn down this opportunity for others that are willing to learn. And that is why we are taking it very seriously, because we really want to mentor you, and mentorship comes with sacrifice. We really want to mentor you, right? And a mentor can also be very, very harsh as well, right? Then please always join 10 minutes or at most 5 minutes before time, so that we don't come on board and start waiting for you. Please join before time, so that as our faculty leaders are coming in, they are just hitting the ground running. We're not waiting for anybody. Then lastly, all our sessions will be recorded and then uploaded on our YouTube. But it will not be done immediately. So that does not give you the avenue to kind of like miss the classes. So we can upload, a video. Let's say, for example, now we're having a class today. We will not upload this video immediately. We'll upload it maybe like weeks after, so that you don't just miss classes and then just go to YouTube to go and watch videos. So that's very, very important. So I think that would be all. So someone is asking what time on Friday? Okay, no, we didn't have that. Okay, well, so the time for Friday can actually be flexible. It could be either 8 or 9. Again, depending on our availability. It's not fixed, actually. So, but if there's any other information, please always note that the primary mode of information dissemination is on Discord. So try as much as possible not to be away on Discord for a very, very long time. Always check the Discord page for information. Someone talked about the fact that, recruiters are reaching out to him for jobs and all. If you're not ready for that kind of job, right, you can meet me or meet any of the co-founders. We can actually post information on our, because someone else might actually be ready to take up that job. And that is what this community is all about, right? Helping others as well. So that will be all from my end. And I'm just hoping and believing that this is going to be a rewarding experience for everybody. So see you on Saturday. So there won't be any discussion this Friday. right? There won't be any discussion this Friday, but we're going to be starting a class on Saturday. And I think it's Linux, right? No, so we'll be starting with Linux.
Yes, we're having Linux.
Yeah, Linux before then. So, but before then, we would be sharing some prerequisites. If we need to install this, if we need to get this, so that as we are hitting the ground running, right? We are typing shell scripts, we are typing Linux command. We want you to also type alongside. This is not, this is not an avenue where maybe I'm typing something and then you just be looking. No, you're also doing it. You're also doing it. Nuruddin is typing something, Shenwu is, showing us how the concepts work. You're also doing it on the call as well. And if you feel you will not be able to follow, then immediately after that class, you can work on it immediately. So that by Wednesday, right, you are meeting with your team leads, you are discussing, okay, based on what I did. So the idea is before meeting with your group members on Wednesday, you would have done that thing by yourself. So you have Saturday, you have Sunday, you have Monday, you have Tuesday. You have like 4 days to practice on your own first. And then when you're now meeting with your team leaders, you are not, your team members, you are now collaborating that, okay, based on this command, that I did this, I was not able to get this. How did you do it? Then based on the project, you are discussing based on the project. Then you have Thursday, Friday to be able to finalize the project. Then when you are coming on Friday night, you are coming to come and scatter everywhere with your solution. So that is the mindset. So don't come on Friday and say that we're not able to meet, I was not available for this. You have 1 week to be able to prepare, right? So please maximize these training sessions. Strictly hands-on. Nobody is teaching you theory here at all. Hands-on. Like, we're not wasting time. We are teaching you what needs to be done, the culture, the principle, and the philosophy. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. See you on Saturday by God's grace. So the time for Saturday is going to be communicated. And yep, it will be communicated at least on Wednesday. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. See you guys next week.